Hello, I'm Chris Fisher. We're reading Stanley in Space by Jeff Brown. As we left a few minutes ago, or may have been hours, we don't know, Stanley and the family were in the village and they are about to hear about the whole story of the crisis. So, the whole family is back in the Scout and they're having tea with the committee. President Ott's story, Chapter 7. Okay. Tea does help. I am quite myself again, Mrs. Ott nodded to her husband. Go on, dear, tell them. Rain drummed faintly on the Star Scout, making even cozier the scene within. Around the dining table, the lamb chops occupied their usual places. The tyrants sat on top of the table, on thumbtacks pushed down to serve as stools, sipping from tiny cups Mrs. Lambchop had fashioned from aluminum foil and nibbling crumbs of their homemade ginger snaps. Now, sighing, President Ott set down his cup. You will observe, lamb chops, he said, how greatly we have enjoyed these tasty refreshments. The fact is, Tyra has for some time been totally without fresh food or water fit to drink. We live now only by what tiny tins and bottles we have in the store. Mrs. Ott made a face. Pink meat spreads and spinach and that dreadful fizzola. A bit sweet, yes, said General App. Gives me gas too, but never mind, cried Mrs. Ott. President Ott continued. The cause of our tragedy, lamb chops, was Supergrow, an invention by Dr. Epps. Supergrow, Epp promised, would double our crops, making them double size, double delicious as well. A great concept, he said. We scientists, said Dr. Epp, dream larger than other men. For 3 days at the Science Center, President Ott went on. Epp brewed his Supergrow, great smelly vats of it, enough for the whole planet. But then, oh no, Tyron will never forget that day. I myself was strolling through Uck's Park. How beautiful it was. The trees and grass, so green, the sky. Green, said Arthur, but everything's brown. Here, not green. A mishap, murmured Dr. Epp, with the Supergrow. Mishap? Barked General Epp. The stuff exploded, Epp, all over the place. Well, nobody's perfect, Dr. Epp hung his head. All those huge vats, lamb chops, President Ott continued, boom, one after another, shattered windows, blew the roof off the Science Center. No one hurt, thank goodness. But great clouds of smoke darkened the sky, and then, such dreadful luck, it began to rain. A tremendous rain, mixing with the smoke, falling all over Tyro, into the rivers, and on every field and garden, every bit of greenery. Rising from the thumbtack, he paced back and forth across the table. When the rain stopped, there was no green, none, just brown. Worse, Epp's tests proved that our water was undrinkable, and that nowhere on Tyra would anything grow. I broadcast at once to the nation, do not despair, I said, Tyra will recover soon. Oh, good, Mrs. Lambchuk said. President Ott shook his head. I lied. I couldn't tell the truth, for fear is causing panic. You see, the test showed that it would be a year at least before Tyra was green again. And long before that, we will have emptied our last tin, our last bottle of Fizzola. He sat down again, covering his face with his hands. So then, we sent a message into space. Lure some of our planet's spaceships. Lure some other planet's spaceship, we thought. Hold it for ransom, you see. Make them send food and water. Oh, shameful, unhanded. You will never forgive us, I know. His voice trailed off, and there was only the patter of rain. Close to tears, the lamb chops looked at each other. Then at the little people on the tabletop. The tyrants seemed particularly tiny now, and brave and nice. You poor dears, Mrs. Lambchop said. There was no need to conquer us. We would help you willingly if we could. The tyrants seemed at first unable to believe their ears, then suddenly their face shone with joy. Bless you, cried General App. Saved! Mrs. Ott clapped her hands. We are saved! Saved? Said Mrs. Lambchop. Of course, said President Ott. Don't you see? Earth's spaceship can bring food and water till. Oh, what's wrong? It was Arthur who explained. I'm very sorry, he said, but there's just the Star Scout. Earth hasn't got any other spaceships, and it would take years to build them. The tyrants grabbed. Years, said Dr. F. Stanley felt so sad that he could hardly speak. And it's no use going for food in the Star Scout, he said. By the time we return to Earth, you'd all be, well, dead, said Mrs. Ott. In the Star Scout, a terrible silence fell, and the facts were clear. The cupboards of Tyra would soon be empty, and then all of its tiny people would starve to death. Here's the committee sitting around the giant coffee cup and the aluminum foil cups that Mrs. Lambchop made. And that is the end of chapter 7. Thank you very much.